Okay, good morning. Welcome to Good Morning Anambra Tuesday edition. Oh, well, I want to believe that you are back to your duty post that's supposed to have started Monday. And now we are on the second day of the week. How are you? All right, my name is Sijama. Do stand by now as we bring you the press review this morning. Okay, welcome again. Joining me this morning to look at what the papers are saying. Okay, Barrister Charles Ogugwa is a public affairs analyst. Good morning, Barrister.
Good morning, Lady AJ. Good morning, viewers at home.
Okay, and then one for Simon Ezofoma. He's also a public affairs analyst. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning, the Anambra and all our viewers all over the world.
All right, you're welcome. Okay, let's see the stories that are making the round from our website this morning. NDLEA uncovers 442 parcels of crystal methamphetamine packaged for export at Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos. And then Saludo Health 11-year-old Stephanie Onusiruoka from Anambra for winning gold at African Gymnastic Clubs Championship in South Africa. Anambra State Government urges property developers to uphold new building guidelines. And then, not finally, federal lawmaker Obidigwe reassures constituents of dividends of democracy, re-echoes flood alerts. Okay, finally now, 2022 Face of Chemin Africa magazine and the honorary awards holds in Oka. This one is a big deal. Okay, Saludo Health 11-year-old girl. But we know Stephanie has been trending for some time now, and it's such a big pride for us that she is from this state. That's the great Anambra State. Oh, well, we congratulate her and every other person that has given us gold in the tournaments that are going on here and there. Okay, Anambra State Government urges property developers to uphold new building guidelines. I'm starting with you as a Ofoma. That's this new building guideline. And we want to find out what has happened to the old one first, whereby you'll be told to remove this property and then the construction or whatever continues. So are they going to abide to these new ones? And then if they don't, what has the government put in place to make sure that perpetrators are punished?
Well, I must say that that is a very good step. Not that there was no law guiding the old one or in the past. But the only thing is that we are good in making laws, but not in abiding by the laws. And some of the times you see that the people who are the promoters of this law breaking are the people inside. Because sometimes the agency may ask some of the developers not to continue. But you see that somebody may go at the back. Even I was somewhere, somebody was discussing, I didn't want to comment. He was saying that when they called him that they were in their side, he just called and said, give phone to the man. He said, meet me here. Do this and that. Don't go there again. So that is the point. So what I'm saying is sometimes we are the makers and breakers of the law. And that is why the impunity continues. So, but I thank God that is why it is necessary to put a round peg in a round hole, to put the people who know what it takes to do this thing. Put the right person at the right position. Because somebody who is aware of the consequences of not abiding by the building this thing, we know that it may cause a future calamity. And they will not like, if he's a reasonable human being, he will not like to such to happen. And it will sabotage the government.
All right. Mr. Charles, you may have one or two things to say.
Yes, I think I will take us a bit back to when Barack Obama visited Ghana and much later Kenya during his time as the president of United States of America. Then while fielding questions from journalists like you, he talked about the need for Africa to promote strong institutions and not strong individuals. And for those of us in Nigeria, and most importantly for someone like me, being a lawyer, I know that Nigeria has one of the most beautiful laws in the world. But where we have our problems is in the area of implementation, that, like he just said. Is it so? If we should, in one way or the other, get our acts together in trying to make sure that those who are going to enforce the new code are people who live above board, people who remain to some extent, honest to the very reason for which they were called, then both the government and the masses will benefit from the real intentions for which such laws were made. But if, as it is, we go back to our usual system, maybe one chief this contravenes the law, one alhaji this contravenes the law, and then the enforcers approach the person, makes an attempt to pull down the house, and somebody places a call to some other person, and then we go back to our normal lifestyle. So I think in summary terms, I would want to say that it's not basically about laws in Nigeria or even in Anambra State here. It's about enforcement, about guiding the very men and women who are the outfield officials going for implementation.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. For want of time, let's venture into the papers immediately. We are going to look at the Daily Independent newspaper first, and then look at other papers that we'll have for reviewing this morning. Okay, the Daily Independent. Banner headline there, Nicom board seeks backing to short-failed insurance coils. Nicom board seeks backing to short-failed insurance companies, okay? And then other stories on top of the name template. Federal government has ceded country to terrorists. Afenifere laments. Inflation hits 17-year high amid rising food prices. And then down here, PDP crisis, I have no plan of resigning, says Iyosha Ayu. The digital switchover, federal government backs on NTA facilities for deployment. Boundaries between Nigeria, Niger, others artificial, says federal government. Ebonyi confirms outbreak of monkeypox. And then kidnap kingpin Wadume backs 7 years jail term. Another important story coming from here says $11 billion contract. Nigeria levels fresh fraud claims against P&ID ahead trial. Okay, let's look at another paper before we start talking. The Guardian newspaper is the next paper. Guardian newspaper. Okay, PDP crisis. You can't decide for a presidential candidate, says McAfee. That story is on page 5. And then Afenifere accuses Buhari government of ceding Nigeria to terrorists. Is on page 4. And then the banner headline there says 19.6% inflation, more people become poor. Experts warn. Let's look at the riders under that story because it's the banner headline. Okay, the rider says defies interest rate hike. Ratos analyst surges to 19.6%, highest since 2005. Figures reflection of more scary future. Okon, civil servants most hit, purchasing power very weak. And then suspend telecoms, beverage star says Owaleke. rein in 19.7 trillion ways and then ways and means loan to federal governments, okay? These are still riders coming under that banner headline. Galloping inflation recipe for recession, higher unemployment, economists insist. It's a very scary, very, very scary future. Okay, let's start talking now, beginning from the next paper that we reviewed, which is the Daily Independent. The headline, the story on top of the name template, federal government has ceded country to terrorists, Afenifere laments. I think especially in all the papers. Charles, what does that mean?
It's nothing new. You and I know that it is nothing new. I think the problems we have with terrorists, so to say, in Nigeria started a little bit during the Obasanjo's administration. Is it as at the time that Yaradua was there, he tried as much as he could. And then by the time it was the tenure of Goodluck Jonathan, some people felt that they were going to use that as an instrument of politics. Our people massaged terrorists, our people romanced terrorists, and even to some extent, and tried to encourage acts of terrorism, trying to compare terrorism with genuine freedom fighters. So by the time we knew it, we live in this country when issues of terrorism were even made a political discussion, and that emboldened the boys down there in the north. Is it? So I think we haven't actually had that particular, will to deal a decisive blow, on these terrorists. And then if I should equally take us back a bit, I remember when the federal government complained of not having the right military hardware to deal with these terrorists. But sometime last year, we read it in the news and we confirmed that Tucano fighter jets were released by the United States government for the government of Nigeria. And before that, there were equally these Alpha jets that was equally, bought from Pakistan. And I think some heavy-duty machines that were equally brought in from Russia. Is it? And one begins to wonder, do you just commission them and, keep them inside the military warehouses while these boys continue to run riots in most villages, local governments, and states? I think it was last week or thereabout that the governor of Kaduna State wrote to the federal government, and it wasn't as if it was for the very first time, because we knew when a reasonable number of local governments in Borno State were under, I call it the government of these terrorists. But what is most surprising now is that beyond the recoveries made by the Nigerian army, there are equally some local governments in Borno State that the terrorists hold sway. And down in Kaduna, that is almost at the heart of Nigeria. You look at Kaduna, you look at Abuja, the Niger State. We know that these terrorists are controlling some territories. And if it has gotten to the point that a Rufai had to come out, to make such claims, to make such admissions, that tells us that we are not in control. Then before we now zero it down to those of us here in the southeast, we are not free. So it is safe to say that Nigeria has actually been considered to the terrorists.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, we move on. Nikon board seeks backing to Shortfeld Insurance Company, sir.
Yes, I will comment on Nikon board. Please permit me a minute to follow up with what my colleagues have said, because being somebody who read political science and law, I'm always interested in national issues, and as it stands today. Just as he said, if you look at the jets we are bought from overseas, from United States, we were given they were given the reason that the government of United States did not permit them to use it to fight bandits, that it was meant for terrorists. But this one now is the terrorists that are terrorizing us. What is still holding them in using those jets that we are bought for specifically for terrorism to fight?
What is the difference between bandits and terrorists?
That is what you will ask me. They said that is what they signed. And then later on, that is why some people were pursuing for them to label the bandits as terrorists. And that has been done. That has been done.
And yet,
nothing is being done. Yes. It is unfortunate where we find ourselves. Sometimes you start to, just as my colleague said, if you look at it, there is still an allegation on the head of the governor of Kaduna State that they imported these terrorists. And he has not denied it. He said at one time he said that we have settled them. They should go back. Nobody went as far as asking him what settlement, what was the contract before.
What kind of business did you do with them? Let's see if somebody has joined us. Hello. Good morning. 1 minute, sir. Hello. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
From
Your name is what?
First of all, I have to thank.
Okay, talk and do from Ghana.
I have to thank Anambra and Nigerians for giving us opportunity like this. That should be a wake-up call for Ebonyi, Imo, Abia, and other states, giving us opportunity to know what is happening back home. Having said that, the news that you are bringing about feeding Nigeria to terrorists, I have watched Channel Television this morning, their news, NTA, none of them was having that news. That is the importance of what they say that charity begins at home. I like the way you have presented it. But the thing is that we should try as much as we can as South Easterners to do things that will benefit us. As the Bible said that the church in Ephesus will finance the affairs of the church in the Ephesus. That is why I have commended ABS for what they are doing. Kindly help me to preach to other states for them to bring us close to what is happening back there so that we can be able to contribute our quota towards the development of our place.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. So can do from Ghana.
Very
Thank
important.
you.
Please,
Go
to
ahead,
summarize, two main points I want to mention is this El-Rufai now that we are talking of is the one who is saying that there should be no 2 million march. You know why I'm concerned about all this?
We have to run along to be able to beat time because
so
have
what I'm saying is
look at.
We should not be beating about the bush.
Oh, sorry, somebody has joined us again. Yeah, good morning, sir. Welcome.
Good morning, yes. This is Mr. Chukwu calling from Jos.
Okay, Chukwu from Jos.
Welcome, brother.
Thank you very much. ABS, you are really doing very well. I love your report and everything. You see, this terrorist issue in Nigeria, everybody has seen it, that the present government wants to hand over them by 2023. And they are doing this thing in line to Obi's candidature. They know by 2023, Peter Obi will definitely win the election. I've seen the handwriting on the wall. They, in a way, to make sure that an Igbo man, particularly Peter Obi, does not get it, they want to do that. Notwithstanding, there is a filtered information, let me just say grapevine for now, that they want to have a way of killing Nnamdi Kanu, and they want to make sure that terrorists do that. If they don't release Nnamdi Kanu before the end of this year, there is that tendency that terrorists will attack where Nnamdi Kanu is kept in that DSS custody, and they will blame it terrorist attack. But federal government is that openly. Let me just tell you the truth. Nigeria is at the crossroads. Anything can happen from now. Attorney Pere is very, very, very right. The South should wake up. Wake up and see what is about to happen to Nnamdi Kanu and to Peter Obi. Please, those castigating Peter Obi candidature from the East should desist. People like Kenny Namani, Dayo Olasi, and the rest, they should desist from doing that. This is with our time, and we should use this opportunity to make sure that we are there so that P2B can change things for us. If not, by next year, it's going to be very, very bad for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very
So
much.
summarize my destiny. This last point is the main thing for why I have. The lawyer of Nnamdi Kanu had just said yesterday or so that the federal government, imprisoned or captured Nnamdi Kanu for seeking a referendum. And then they are negotiating with terrorists. That is the main point why I have.
Let's go on with the headlines that we'll have here, please, so that I'll be able to buy time. Okay, let's talk about this inflation that is almost on all the papers today. 19.6% inflation. More people become poor. And then experts, that one is coming from the Guardian newspaper. Let me start with you, Barrister Charles. What do we do? It's difficult for us to eat again.
It is not far-fetched. Is it from even the embers of elementary economists? One would understand that there is what is known as imported inflation. Mm-hmm. And the imported inflation normally ravages any economy.
How do you know imported inflation?
Yes, if a country is dependent on import products, do you understand? If a country has not developed her economy to a level of self-sufficiency, if the productive capacity of any country has so been mesmerized that even utility services and goods can no longer be produced, then that means whatever thing that very country will produce comes from abroad. And of course, you need the foreign exchange to buy these things. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. And so whatever thing that puts pressure on the foreign exchange acquisition shuts up the price of these items. That is on one side. And on the other side, when there is inflation in that very country of production from which those items are being imported into any of such countries, in this case in Nigeria. So whatever thing that happens there, automatically, yes, it has a resultant effect to Nigeria. Mm-hmm. And that equally goes on to what some of us say, advocates of good economy. Do you understand? I wouldn't want to, zero it on what gospel our brother is talking about, removing Nigeria from a consumptive economy to a productive economy. Do you understand? And so where we're able to produce a reasonable number of what we produce, do you get the point? At a point we have enough to export. Then when we have enough to export, we earn more foreign exchange. When we earn more foreign exchange, the exchange rate will drop. When the exchange rate drops, automatically, the price of goods and services will drop. When the price of goods and services drops, the purchasing power, the value of what a salary can buy, the value of what money can buy increases. And automatically, that solves the problem of strike and strike and strike. Do you understand? Because workers go on strike because of the fact that inflation makes nonsense of their earnings.
Of their salaries.
Do you understand? But then we have a bunch of leaders, who promote themselves, acquire certificates like we talked about in this very forum last time, but who do not know how to turn around the economy. So even if funding is provided, even for ASU that has been on strike for the greater part of this year, and the key sectors of the economy continue to lie comatose, we will continue to experience these problems that are contending with us today. Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. This Day newspaper is our next paper this morning. This Day newspaper. Okay, we're going to take only the banner headline, which says, I have not resigned and won't resign. This one is coming from the chairman of All Progressives.
PDP.
Okay, no, it's not PDP. Is it PDP? Okay,
it is
PDP.
PDP, yes.
Okay, PDP, chairman of PDP, yes. From the story, I heard that there was an agreement that if a presidential candidate emerges from the north, that IU is going to resign for a southern chairman for PDP. And now he said he's not resigning again after presidential candidates have emerged from the north, that he is not resigning. And not just that he has a 4-year term. So what do you have to say about this one, sir?
I think it's nemesis that is hunting PDP and APC.
Yes.
That is the simple thing. And if you go and read people's mind, you will see that many people are happy. Let the confusion continue.
Exactly.
Let the confusion continue. Because sincerely speaking, it hurts people, and I'm involved. I used to say that people who paralyzed this nation, may we not say that let God paralyze their house? Because there are people who had messed up this country. And you see, these things we are saying, just as my colleague said, it's not about making laws, but some of the time they will tell you that it is not stipulated in the Constitution. It's not that. You look at the gentleman's agreement, which ought to be observed in PDP, that the North will produce the rotational presidency. At the time, they failed it. So this one now of whether produce a presidential candidate, you produce Ayo will tell you that he's not. And the wicked that is agitating, and let him see, he has shot himself on the foot, because he was the one who initiated all these things. So let them settle their matter. Let it continue.
Let the music continue. Let them continue as we continue with our newspaper review this morning. Nigerian Tribune is our next paper. PDP crisis. I have not resigned. I have 4-year mandate. It's still coming from IU. Then let's move over to Punch. The Punch newspaper. 19.6% inflation rate. Federal government warned against acute hunger. Sierra Leonean crisis. Okay, so that it doesn't get to us. And then Sun, the Daily Sun is our next paper this morning. Beside the name template of the Daily Sun, federal government disrespecting UN by keeping Kanu in detention. Igbo youths are saying this. While the banner headline there says, IU calls Wike's bluff. Okay, still talking on resignation of IU. Okay, but down we have insecurity. Coalition summons northern governors. Let's look at the riders. Let's see whether there is a new wave of insecurity or the one that we have been experiencing for years now. Okay, the riders say demands explanation on inability of security, okay, security agencies to tackle worsening security challenges. Okay, that's insecurity coalition. Summons northern governor. Which coalition is that? It said that demanding explanation on inability of security agencies to tackle worsening security challenges. Another writer there says vows not to vote along religious line. Okay. And then other stories coming from the Daily Sun. Nigeria's inflation hits 19.6. We have seen this. NCDC confirms additional 13 new cases of Lassa fever. INEC begins display of voters register in Oyo, Lagos. Nationwide blackout looms as electricity workers shut down services Wednesday. Osun holds local government polls October 15. Ohaneze applauds Obiozo at 80, hails him as man of uncommon intellect. Okay. Now, let's look at some of the stories coming from this paper now. The first one is this one that's beside the net template. Federal government disrespecting UN by keeping Kanu in detention. Okay, I'm beginning with you, Barrister Ogugba.
Yes, you know, this Nnamdi Kanu's issue is more or less like a religion now to you know, the Igbo man and to some other freedom fighters in Nigeria and to some extent in various parts of the world. But we should be careful here, is it, so that we don't give people unnecessary hope, is it? The UN Human Rights Commission issues orders that are more or less like persuasive orders. These are not orders that are incumbent on any sovereign state to, you know, carry out, except, of course, that particular sovereign state decides to so do. Is it? So what directives, the order they issued is very much akin to the orders of the International Court of Justice, upon which Obasanjo ceded Bakassi Peninsula. Is it? For those of us who went through it, who read it, we knew that Obasanjo was wrongly advised. Do you understand? But then the question is, can one ride under the platter of calm? This is not an order that must be enforced. is it, to tell oneself, look, I wouldn't have anything to do with this. If the federal government refuses, as it seems as though they are now refusing, it equally touches on the integrity of the Nigerian state. Is it, as much as there wouldn't be any sanction on Nigeria, as much as there wouldn't be any kind of a compulsion by the UN Security Council or any of the agencies except the Human Rights Commission, do you get the point? It is still going to be an indictment on the Nigerian state, knowing very well that this man, going by the international standard, his actions have been reviewed, and his actions have been seen as that which in no way is connected to terrorism for which he is being held. And that equally reminds me of what one of the callers said. Somebody entertained fears about the federal government allowing Nnamdi Kanu to be killed and stuff like that. The federal government is not going to allow that. Nnamdi Kanu is more important to the federal government than it is to even an Igbo man. Is it? If the intention was to expire Nnamdi Kanu's life, they would have done that when he was abducted in Kenya. Because for 8 days, even the IPOB intelligentsia never knew where he was. Do you get the point? So I don't think, I am not a mouthpiece. Automatically, we are a country where injustice reigns. Do you understand? Nnamdi Kanu's message is a message of liberation. It's a message of justice. Do you get the point? And if justice should reign in Nigeria, everybody will breathe. But we are living in a country, we have a few oligarchs who corner the country's resources for themselves, and who feel that for as long as they will continue to keep him there, perhaps people will continue to remain in darkness. And unfortunately, most of the predictions that the young man made are living with us today.
Okay.
So they wouldn't want him to...
All right. Yeah, hello. Good morning. Okay, sorry. Sorry. Please, how would somebody, an organization like United Nations give an order without a backing of compulsion?
It's right. It's correct. He's correct. I agree with him on that because under international law, any sovereign state has the right to, just as he mentioned, like the international courts. You don't have international police. You don't have international distance. They have international court, but there's no international police. So nobody can, no police will go and arrest the president of a country. And under international law, that is what is meant by sovereignty. A country has the right. But the only thing is, just as I said, there is an indictment because once you are a signatory, there is this mutual, this thing you have signed. You are supposed to abide by the treaties and the resolutions you have signed. When you back out, that is where I will a little bit disagree. They are most, just like the one of he mentioned about Obasanjo. If, yes, we have the right, Obasanjo had the right either to abide or not abide, because the international law or does not have binding effect, it's persuasive effect, as he said. But when you don't abide by it, the nations like Cameroon, that was ruled by France also, they can start, some certain, they may even implement some economic distance against that nation, against Nigeria. France has started even moving their army towards that direction. Okay. So Obasanjo knew. Okay. So this one even can even influence other nations if they like. What is involved in international politics is negotiation. That is the only thing. They can influence them and then it will have effect on Nigeria.
All right. Let's move on. Let's come back home now, finally, to look at this story before we round off. Anambra establishes family courts to tackle domestic violence. And very recently, it does appear that domestic violence is the order of the day in the state now. Yeah, hello.
Good morning. This is Mr. Okechukwu again, calling from Jos. I love your program. I want to comment on that international issue that the young man just said.
Okay, go ahead.
Once you are part of UN, a country that is part of UN has signed next day that the way Nnamdi Kanu was captured in Kenya as state was very wrong. Nnamdi Kanu had British passport, not Nigerian passport, and he was captured wrongly by saying that UN already made their position that captured wrongly and he should be released. Had it been Nnamdi Kanu captured based on having passport, it would have been clear. It was the British that should respect the view and the position of the UN and releasing Nnamdi Kanu unconditionally. He's not a freedom fighter. He has not committed any atrocity that Nigeria should visit him. I will still repeat this. If the federal government wants to have Nnamdi Kanu using terrorists, they will not be blamed. That is my position. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Okechukwu from Jos. Thank you. Okay, let's talk about domestic violence in Anambra State. What actually is going on? Is it because of the inflation? What is
that people are
economic
hungry
situation.
and angry.
Oh.
People are hungry and angry. That is what, because it has never been so.
Okay, let me still hold you for just this once. Okay, yeah, hello. Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. What's your name? Please, you called yesterday and distracted us a lot. Please, if you're a child, you should be spending your holidays quietly at home. Don't fiddle with our phone. This is a serious business, please. Okay, go ahead, sir.
So what I'm saying is, we just plead with people to take things softly. Do not, misapply the grievance or annoyance to your partner or spouse or children at home. Because that is what we are seeing. If you watch, even the killings, not now the terrorism bandits or even the, homicide we are having this time is not, we have never had it so. Okay. So what people are hungry, and therefore every little thing agitates people.
A hungry man is
an angry man.
Let's look at the law aspect of it. How would this law be infused to the regular laws that we have?
I think it's not anything actually new. Is it what the government of Anambra State has just done is to expedite the proceedings by creating that special court. It's not as if that there is a new law. You understand? And then if you ask me on a personal note, I would equally say that it is still the same problem of treating the effect of something and not equally treating the cause. Like he rightly said, most of what we see at the domestic level and which we Christian domestic, violence, habingas, results of frustrations here and there. If the number has increased now, it has only increased because of the fact that the level of frustrations in Nigeria has equally increased. And
so do we start eating ourselves now because of the frustration?
Not exactly, but you and I know that provision of prison facilities in US did not reduce firearms violence in the United States of America.
Okay. Yeah, 1 minute, sir. Good morning, sir. Welcome.
Yeah, I greet the two barristers in the studio.
Thank you.
Welcome, sir.
Including you, the presenter. See, let me, all the paper reviews today centered on injustice. You see, the coming together, the amalgamation of Nigeria in 1914 by Lord Lugard was founded on falsehood. And since that time, Nigeria has never known any way to speak truth. Even in the church, even in the government, everywhere, none of us tells each other the truth. Look at what happened to Wike. Wike has been a staunch member of PDP. You see, they denied him the position that ought to have been given to him. And that position is being given to a man that only scored 3 votes during the convention. So asking, I know the chairman of PDP refusing to resign will compound the whole issue for PDP. Let me tell you, this is a sort of boomerang. It is a sort of boomerang of what they have done. The PDP, APC, both of them, they have never told us the truth and they have never been sincere to us. Right. And I think by 2023, God is going to make a way for us where there seems to be no way.
All
I'm
right.
not a politician, but we are following what they are doing. I
Okay.
pray that by 2023, by God's grace, that God will give Nigerians, that God will open the eyes of Nigerians, God will open the eyes of the electorate to know what is good for them.
Okay,
themselves.
okay, thank
God bless
you. Thank you very much. Even when you didn't tell us your name, okay, we are concluding.
What I was
please.
saying, in effect,
We are
was that
completely out of
it is a very nice, development.
Okay.
But more, measures and efforts should be, geared towards making sure that there is food in our homes at a reduced, prices to bring back joy, to families and to reduce all these altercations that lead to, domestic assault. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Barrister Charles Ogugwa,
You're welcome.
for joining us this morning, all the way from Onitsha. I hope you had a feed.
Oh, thank God, it was all right.
Thank you for coming. And then one for Simon Ezo Former. Thank you very much for coming, sir.
Thank you, Anambra.
Okay, that has been press review this morning from the Anambra Broadcasting Service. And this flagship program, Good Morning Anambra, it comes to you from Monday to Friday. So do remember to join us tomorrow for our fresh package. My name is Ijoma Uche. Do stand by for the programs coming your way now.